Hi, I'm Karen Morgan. I'm a volunteer with AARP Maryland, and this is Protect Week. And we are bringing you a whole host of events related to keeping you and your money safe, but we're not all about just doom and gloom. We need to eat too. Fraud fighters need to eat. So with me today on this great cooking demo is Chef Christine Van Bloom. Christine,
Hello.
hello.
Hey,
So nice to
Karen,
see
how
you.
are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, so good to see you. I love that you're saying we're protecting. And I'm telling you what, this one today, we're going to protect from the inside. So we've got you covered all week long.
We sure do. Now,
So,
what are we eating today?
okay. So this is Cowboy Caviar. And I think everybody has heard of this, but
Mhm.
this is the perfect summer staple. And I have to tell you, these are all ingredients that I probably would not eat on their own, but when I combine them into this and pull out some tortilla chips, I'm all over it. It's so good. So you want to see how we make it?
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
you had me at food. So yes, please do.
I know you're such a foodie, Karen. I have to tell you, this is so inexpensive to make. It's really, I call it like a pantry dish, right? It's totally a pantry dish for us. So Cowboy Caviar is a mixture of beans and corn and veggies, and I'll show you what we do. We're going to start just by making a dressing because I am inherently lazy and I don't want to wash any dishes I don't have to wash. So I always make the dressing in my serving bowl just because it's so much easier for us. And for our dressing today, we're going to use a little bit of chili powder. Now, if you have some fancy chili powder, you've visited Arizona, use whatever you like, but we want a little bit of chili powder in here. And we're going to use actually a little bit of sugar. This dish has a little sweetness, and this calls for a tablespoon. I'm going to use a little bit less just because I'm not feeling a sweet tooth today.
Mhm.
Alrighty. Now, I'm going to also add a little teaspoon of salt because even though our canned veggies are always going to be a little salty, we want to make sure we're adding salt here. We always need a little bit. And then I've got just the ingredients for a classic vinaigrette. Now, I'm going to use a white wine vinegar. And if I don't have enough, I have a little bit of a champagne vinegar, just something like
Mhm.
this. You could use, that big old gallon of white vinegar that you buy,
Yes.
that you use to
Yes.
like clean everything and all of
Yes.
that. You
Allegedly, but
could,
yes.
you, so now that's going to have a little harsher flavor. So you may need to taste for your sugar and your salt. But truthfully, that stuff will work too. You could use cider vinegar. You just don't want to use like a balsamic. We don't want to use a balsamic at all because it's going to be too distinctive. And we're not going
Mhm.
for that flavor. We're going to Texas. We're not going to Italy here. All right.
Can we
So
go to
I,
Italy? No.
yeah, don't I wish. So we have about a quarter cup of the vinegar. And then while I'm whisking, you can see me working very hard, developing those biceps. I'm going to add about a half cup of olive oil. Now, I know that's love olive oil. And I'll tell you this, it's actually not for the number of servings we're making. And Karen, I have tried and tried to cut this recipe down, but because we're using standard sizes of our, oh gosh, our beans and our corn and all of that, we can't really go smaller from here. Economically, it's not really feasible. Oh, that's so good. All right, so we just make it. This will hold in your fridge for days and days and days, and that tastes incredible. Now, listen, do yourself a favor. And Karen, I know how into food you are. So use a tasty olive oil for this one, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Just start adding our stuff. You saw how easy that was, and I was running my jaw the whole time.
That's great. And it's a great idea to make the dressing in the serving bowl instead of pouring it in afterwards. That's genius.
My husband's mother, she didn't want me to call her my mother-in-law. My husband's mother taught me that, and she would do it with all of her salads. She would put the dressing in and then just lay everything on top of it. It would go to the table and then we'd give it a toss as we were sitting down. With this, because we're not using any greens, we don't really have to worry about that. In here, I have black beans. Now, these are canned. If you're into doing the dried beans and cooking them and all of that, have at, gorgeous. But this is 1 can of black beans and 1 can of black-eyed peas. All right. And this is super important, especially if beans do a number on you. And this is important because we want to rinse them. Rinse, rinse, rinse. So vital, because that bean liquid, the kind of bean juice that's in that can, that can make you feel a little rough. So let's grab this. All right. Now I have a bag of corn that was frozen at one point, and now I've just thawed it out. I'm going to pop that in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, this is so easy, right? And I'm gonna give this. Apparently, we have invited my son and his girlfriend over for dinner and someone else tonight. So I'm like, perfect. I have a perfect little snack for us.
Oh, you sure do.
I sure do.
And
I love
and
these
it's healthy.
dinners.
And it's
I
healthy
know.
and yummy.
I
Come on.
know. So we were talking to Nancy from AARP Maryland earlier, and she said she buys this at her fresh market all the time. So I'm hoping to get Nancy to pull this together because I know she's pretty good in the kitchen too.
Yes, she
All right.
is.
Now, since tomato season is a coming, I'm so excited. We have way too many tomato plants outside. Do you plant a garden at all?
Oh, heck no. That requires getting my hands dirty.
Well, I basically just tell my husband what I want, and then he plants it, and then I go out and critique it. It's a perfect way to garden.
I love it. I love it.
All right, so I'm going to add some tomatoes. Now, normally we call for Romas, and those, you were saying you like the Romas because they hold up. Oh, maybe that was Nancy, but the Romas hold up pretty well. Right now, these are a nice tomato, really firm, pretty good, not firm in a bad way. Thank you very much. But they're going to hold up and not get mushy. These will stay in this. Oh my gosh. Again, this will hold for several days, which you need because it makes so much. So we're just going to do a little dicey dice on the tomatoes. It's funny. My husband gave me something for lunch the other day. I'm so spoiled. And I took the one tomato that was in it out. And he's like, you wouldn't even eat the one tomato? And I'm like, no, I don't want it in that way. But in this, no problem. Give me salsa. God. Great. I know. All right. So we'll get these guys in there. And this is a dish. I did a little cooking class for my daughter when I think for her 22nd birthday, and she was still in college, and I did it virtually with her and her roommates. And one of the roommates is vegan. So I was trying to think, what can I do for them? And I showed them how to make this. And now they still talk about it. I think they still make it. They're all in. If you know any college kids, this is perfect because it's inexpensive, it's quick, and you can make whatever you like, right? If you are really into tomatoes, add more. If you're into the green pepper, add more. And I'm going to use this little, do you know what the 4 lobes on the pepper represent?
No.
Do you know that means that this is, now, I could be talking out of my ear here, but female peppers, right, have 4, and male peppers have 3. Next time you go to the grocery store, I know you think I'm crazy, but next time you go to the grocery store.
No, I'm just thinking that the math just explains so much about the world we live in. Okay.
So, and listen, so many old wives' tales, right? I am your source for things that don't matter. All right. But I will tell you, one of the, old wives' tales are that the female peppers have more seeds, but they're sweeter. Yeah, I don't know if it's true.
Makes sense to me.
I like that about anything, right? You can do that with eggplants too, like the really bulbous eggplants are supposed, and again, old wives' tales, but the really bulbous ones are supposed to be female, and
Okay.
the skinnier ones are supposed to be male. But I have no idea. All right, let's just throw this in as I talk about the gender of eggplants. All
Well,
right,
hey,
so
Chef Christine, can I pop in here for a second? Because we're getting some
please,
questions in the chat.
I
People
love
are
it.
wondering if garbanzo beans can be used as
Garbanzo beans?
in the cowboy.
Yes. Heck yeah, like
Awesome.
use what you like. Listen, throwing a bunch of things in a bowl and make them taste better, right? That's all it is. So if garbanzo beans are what you've got, I happen to love cannellini beans. Have you ever had? I love
Yep.
the white kidney beans. Oh my gosh, I
Yep.
love those. So cannellini beans, throw those in. What do you like? What do you have? Don't get too worked up about it.
Yeah, don't stress out about it.
All right, now.
And we're also wondering, inquiring minds also want to know if the dip can be baked to be served warm.
I suppose you could, but truthfully, I don't think it's going to be nearly as delicious warm as it is
Okay,
cold.
great.
And I'll tell you why. We don't have anything in there it's just going to be hot beans, corn, tomatoes, and vinaigrette. Now, if you wanted to turn this into something naughty, you could add a block of cream cheese to it, skip the vinaigrette. You could always go that way if you want to warm it up. But I don't think technically it would be a problem. I just really don't think it would be as good.
Got it.
Sometimes we got to have a dish that we just love for what it is. Right? There we go. Alrighty. So I love the questions, by the way. Keep those coming. You guys know how much I love this. Alrighty, so I took my onion, and I'm going to show you the way, and I've shown you this a bunch of times, but maybe not you, Karen, but this is how I always taught people who had been drinking how to cut an onion, right? So instead of doing the traditional way where we're cutting horizontally.
Why would a person who's been drinking want to cut an onion? But let's not even go there.
Oh my gosh,
let's just assume.
My whole business. That was my whole business before. So instead of doing horizontal cuts and vertical cuts, we're going to do I call it over the rainbow cut. And what we're doing is we're always cutting on a diagonal toward the center of the onion. Now, I left that root intact. I cut it through the root so the whole thing would stay together for us. And then I do just little cuts kind of going around the rainbow. And I want to show you the best way I can. And I straighten it up as I get to the top. And then I start angling it back the other way. My friend Carrie and I were at a cooking class because we would go take cooking classes so that we could learn more things. And somebody showed us this outside of Richmond and we were all in. But you're making those little cuts and then you just cut across the top and down to your cutting board.
Well, what a great idea.
Yeah. And that way, because some people are really nervous about, if your knife isn't really sharp, do you really want to be driving it toward your hand? No. And if you're nervous about that, this is a perfect way to cut it. And I'll also tell you this. Look at that. So good. If raw red onion makes you crazy, and some people are just like, oh, it's the worst thing. All you have to do is rinse it in some cold water. And that helps take some of the pungency out of it.
Okay.
I know. Isn't that good?
Noted. Yes, I love it.
There you go. All right. Let's see. Here. Can you believe we're almost done here? I know. So good. So good.
I'm still hungry.
Yeah. I'm going to be scarfing this down for lunch too, just so you know. Alrighty. Oh my gosh. Wait till I show you. Now.
It looks so good.
It does. I grew up in Pennsylvania Dutch country. And I always saw 7-bean salad. And I always thought, who would eat beans cold? That is gross. And now I'm like, give me all the beans. I love it. So I have some cilantro here. I'm like the cilantro cheerleader. Um, Always make sure that you wash your cilantro because cilantro
Mhm.
can be nasty, dirty, sandy. So you always want to make sure that you wash that. And if you are one of those folks who genetically cilantro just makes you scream, you hate it, that's okay. You can totally skip it if you want, but I would probably go ahead and just use some fresh parsley if I had instead. Now, I
Mhm.
love cilantro. I love how it smells. Oh my gosh, so good. And you can see I just squish it into a little bit of a bunch, and then I
Mhm.
have that. Easy breezy.
There are those people, it's like you love it or I love cilantro, but there are
Me too.
people who hate I mean, they hate it with a white hot fury.
Yes.
So, the parsley using parsley or what about, basil? Could you use basil?
Okay, now we're going from Texas to Italy again.
Oh,
So
again, never mind.
well, no, hold on. I think you're a genius because let's take this dish and let's make it Italian. Okay. So instead of doing the white vinegar, the white wine vinegar, we would do the balsamic.
Ah,
Instead of doing the black eyed peas, we would do chickpeas. Instead of doing the black beans, we could use those cannellini beans.
yep. Mhm.
Instead of using cilantro, we would use basil. We could skip the chili powder all in, and I might even skip the sugar. But you see how you can take the whole
Yeah,
idea of it and make something totally new and totally interesting?
and it's still just as simple.
Yep. Still just as simple. There's so many, I think we get hung up and we read the magazines and we see all these videos now and we feel like we have to make, art every time. Well, we're making our own kind of art here, right?
Mhm.
We're doing what we like. It's just
Yes.
one meal. It's just one meal. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. And look,
yeah.
check this out. You ready?
Oh,
Isn't
yum.
that okay? And look, and I kid you not, this is not how I've eaten in my life. I get a little Scooby chip, little Scooby chip. Ah, oh, all
The
right.
per and then she does the Cowboy Caviar dance.
It is so good. And don't forget, you always want to taste it. I'm still trying. You always want to taste it with what you're serving it with because we have these salty chips. So if it
Yes,
tastes one way on a spoon, it'll taste another way on a chip.
yes.
So always taste it with what you're serving it with.
Yay, yay.
There it
Well,
is.
we can travel the world with a dip. Who knew? We can be
Who knew?
cowboys, we can be Italian gourmets, we can be French, we can be anything we wanna be.
Karen, you're so good. I love working with you, Karen. You are
Oh, I
such a
love working with
delight.
you too. You are awesome, Chef Christine, and our audience is loving it too. We're getting like manja comments, and I love that we're traveling the world right now, and we also are getting suggestions for using carrot chips if you really want to be healthy. Uh,
Oh, heck
if
yeah.
you,
Go hang. I love a carrot chip. I listen, if I can help you to just kind of let loose a little in the kitchen,
Mhm.
a lot of people we just get kind of uptight. I mean, I do too. Come on. But it's just a meal, right? It's just a meal. And
Yeah.
please try this. And this is, I like to call this a safe salad because
Mhm.
when you go to a picnic over the summer, and I love potato salad, like I love potato salad. But I go to a picnic, I will not touch the potato salad because I want my next day to be a pleasant one. So
Yeah.
there's nothing mayonnaise based. There's nothing. Oh, see, that's great. Jen knows. Got to eat those beans. Keep yourself healthy.
Mhm. Yep.
But
Fiber.
this is one that's going to stay safe for you for a little bit out on a table. Now, always keep your stuff cool, treat all of it with respect, do the food
Right.
safety guidelines, all that. But if you can avoid mayonnaise based salads during the summer,
Yes.
there you go.
This is perfect.
Good, good.
I love it.
Well, there
Well,
you go.
thank you so much, Chef Christine. This is Awesome. And we're getting more great comments like, yes, no mayo, no mayo, no mayo, no mayo.
No mayo, no mayo, no mayo.
So,
Hey, and let me just throw in a little pitch because we're going to do the opposite of this in a class that AARP is sponsoring now. Instead of a demo, it is a live class. It's a live class with just the people that register. And we're making, because we had to do it at some point, we are going to make my super almost famous crab dip. And I know that you have to practically mortgage a house now to buy the crab, even here in Maryland. But this is going to be such a fun class. It's going to be Saturday morning at 10 a.m.
yes.
Totally free, sponsored by AARP Maryland. We
You
love it.
just
We
have
love
to
them.
register. You just have to
just have to
register. That's all
register.
you have to do. And we will crack down on fraud with this crab dip for sure. We
I
will
love it.
totally.
We're cracking everything. We're cracking
Yes.
everything. So you don't have to be a member. I mean, this is just
Right.
one of the reasons that I love AARP. So you don't have to be a member. We're going to make crab dip and what is it? Crack down on fraud. So we can't wait to see everybody at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Get that registration in. I kid you not. People go a little wacky doodle for my crab dip. And it is loaded with all the cheese we want.
Yes, and crab. So
And crab.
I'll be wearing my crab pin in celebration because I have two of them, and and these are just a couple of the events that we're bringing you during Protect Week because, like I keep saying, fraud fighters got to eat too. So now we have Cowboy Caviar dip. That'll keep us going until Saturday when we will crack down on fraud with crab dip. So just go to www.protectweek.org if you want to see links to these events. Go to the AARP Maryland website and register so that you can help us crack down on fraud too on Saturday. Thank you so much, Chef Christine. You are awesome as always.
Thank you, Karen.
Take care, everyone, and we will see you next time.